I chased after Lu Ruyan for 6 years and finally won her over. But on our wedding day, she chose to elope with her white moonlight, first love, right in front of everyone. 6 years of love ultimately turned into nothing. I finally saw through it and chose to let go. But just as I was leaving, she cried and begged me to come back. On the wedding day, Lu Ruyan stood in the middle of the main stage, wearing a high-end wedding dress. Lu Ruyan, do you agree to marry me, Chibata, to grow old together and be forever devoted to each other? I don't. I looked up and met her gaze, which was fixed intently toward the door. A man was standing there. His name was Yi Tengxing, Lu Ruyan's white moonlight. 6 years ago, after he went abroad, I finally had the chance to pursue Lu Ruyan. In that moment, I immediately understood everything. I suppressed my feelings, almost pleading, "Could you wait until the wedding is over?" "No, I can't wait any longer." After saying that, Lu Ruyan picked up her wedding dress, turned, ran toward Yi Tengxing, and held his hand as they left. My mind was blank, and my heart was severely wrenched. Everyone around me looked at me with strange eyes. I painfully closed my eyes, then opened them again. I picked up the microphone and calmly announced, "The wedding is over. From today forward, Lu Ruyan and I no longer have any relationship." After seeing off all the friends and relatives, I returned home. The bright red double happiness characters were still pasted on the wall, but now they looked incredibly mocking. I opened my phone and immediately saw Lu Ruyan's latest social media post, a photo of her and Yi Tengxing together. The two of them were smiling radiantly, accompanied by the caption, "A new beginning with my love. No matter how difficult, nothing can keep us apart." My heart became increasingly firm. I loved her for 6 years, but in the end, I became an obstacle in her heart. Just then, my phone showed a new message notification from Lu Ruyan. Yi Tengxing just returned from abroad and wants to set up a company. He hopes you can invest $50 million to help him. After all, you're rich. $50 million is just pocket change to you. Furthermore, Yi Tengxing is a very promising person. Consider this my compensation to you. Still the same arrogant attitude as before. I laughed out of anger. Do you really think I'm an idiot? Such a good opportunity. Why don't you keep it for yourself? That night, I slept soundly. I had spent 6 years chasing Lu Ruyan, afraid every day of doing something wrong and losing her. But when I actually lost her, I felt completely relieved. The next morning, I went to work at the company. A slender woman walked through the door. She was wearing a black business suit, exuding a captivating and mature aura. It was my secretary, Zhao Shuiying. There's an email from Miss Lu requesting a $50 million investment. I glanced at it, my voice indifferent. I didn't need to think to know it was about yesterday's matter. This woman hadn't given up, even seeking me out directly at the company. Without hesitation, I immediately refused. Seeing that I disagreed, Zhao Shuiying clearly let out a sigh of relief. "Boss, the Lu family has already caused us significant losses." I listened to her quietly. Zhao Shuiying had advised me with these very words before, but at the time, I was blinded by love and, instead, scolded her. Zhao Shuiying only said a few words, then realized she'd spoken out of turn and quickly fell silent. I nodded. "You're right. Starting today, cancel all cooperation with the Lu Group. At the same time, issue a notice that the Qi Group will not cooperate with any company associated with the Lu Group from now on." Zhao Shuiying looked at me in astonishment. "Is there any problem?" "No." She recovered, her face beaming with joy as she rushed to handle it. I suddenly called her back. She turned her head, confused. "Mr. Qi, is there anything else?" I looked at her seriously. "Thank you for everything these past few days." Hearing this, Zhao Shuiying was stunned for a long while. Then her face flushed slightly. In the afternoon, my phone rang. As soon as I answered, I heard Lu Ruyan's angry voice. "Chibata, just because I refused to marry you, you block my company? I didn't realize you were such a petty, narrow-minded man. I'm warning you, stop this immediately, or I will definitely make you pay." I was uncompromising, replying coldly. "Everything you have was given by me. Make me pay? Do you even qualify?" It was then I realized Zhao Shuiying was standing frozen, staring at me, clearly intimidated by my attitude. I softened my expression and gently asked, "Is there something you need?" "This is your tea." She placed the cup on the table. "Right, there's an industry party tonight. I hope you can attend." As soon as I entered the venue, I saw a few familiar faces, the entire Lu family, along with Yi Tengxing. But this time, the Lu family members could only sit in a corner, looking at each other awkwardly. Lu Rian's father pulled her in front of me, raising his wine glass. Bada, yesterday's matter was Rian's fault. Consider this glass of wine an apology. But no one paid attention to him. He held the wine glass, suspended in midair, unable to put it down or keep holding it comfortably. Hurry up and apologize to Mr. Chi. Lu Rian stubbornly turned away, her face obstinate. Some things can't be solved with an apology. My decision won't change. Our Lu family doesn't need you either. Yi Tingxing has a lot of assets overseas. With his ability, he will soon surpass you. I said nothing, turning and walking away. On the way back, I called Zhao Shuiying. Keep an eye on Yi Tingxing's situation. When I returned to the company, Yi Tingxing's profile was already on my desk. It came with a new piece of news. He and Lu Ruyan had just formed a company, publicly announcing that they had raised $1 billion in investment. But according to the investigation, their account only held a mere $10 million, 90% of which was put in by the Lu family. In the past few days, several of our company's senior managers have received invitations from Yi Tingxing. He wants to lure them away to get our client information, but the amount of money he offered was too little, so no one agreed. I smiled faintly. If that's what he wants, let him have it. Zhao Shuiying immediately understood my intention. Understood. Right. Secretary Zhao, I want green tea today. From then on, I focused completely on my work. The relationship between Zhao Shuiying and me also developed very quickly. One evening, we were having dinner together. Suddenly, a sharp voice rang out. I can't believe you found a replacement so quickly. I turned my head and saw Lu Ruyan and Yi Tingxing. Zhao Shuiying beamed, staring straight at her. I have to thank you for this. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have met such a good man. The implicit meaning in the words immediately changed Lu Ruyan's expression. Outraged, she raised her hand to slap Zhao Shuiying. I stepped forward, grabbed her wrist, and shielded Zhao Shuiying. Chibata, what are you doing? Lu Ruyan glared at me, completely disbelieving. After all, no matter what she did before, I always took her side. But now, I was protecting another woman. I smirked, protecting my fiancée. Or, Miss Lu, are you still holding a candle for me, unable to let go? I deliberately emphasized the last sentence. Around us, the customers in the restaurant began to whisper. Their eyes looked at Lu Ruyan with curiosity, bringing her new boyfriend to the ex-boyfriend's place and making a scene. Lu Ruyan's face darkened. Yi Tingxing saw the situation was getting bad and quickly spoke up to mediate. We just happened to be passing by and said hello. Anyway, thanks to Mr. Chi, my brother had the opportunity to step into this industry with Ruyan. Hearing this, Lu Ruyan's face suddenly became arrogant. Chibata, Yi Tingxing just signed a huge contract worth billions. Now I understood, these two came here to show off. I crossed my arms and said calmly, so what? Both were stunned, clearly not expecting me to react with such indifference. I continued nonchalantly. What you two are saying seems to have nothing to do with me. I directly issued a cooperation ban. Lu Ruyan said angrily, Chibata, you will regret this. With that, she dragged Yi Tingxing away in a fit of rage. I turned to ask, how was the situation? Zhao Shuiying replied, the fish has taken the bait. Watching the backs of the two as they left, I gave a cold smile. The person they called the major partner was, in fact, her. After getting the client information, Yi Tingxing immediately contacted the female chairman that Zhao Shuiying was impersonating and began to pursue her madly. But it seemed Lu Ruyan was completely unaware of this. I was curious what her reaction would be when she saw those messages. Zhao Shuiying smiled slyly. This move is truly ruthless. With this strike, I'm afraid they have no way out. I smiled faintly, not replying. Yi Tingxing was nothing more than a person with a foreign degree, only good at deceiving women. He might be able to trick Lu Ruyan, but he couldn't trick me. Time flew by. A month later, I heard that the entire Lu family had borrowed from loan sharks. This was the outcome I had been hoping for all along. Yi Tingxing was still constantly chatting with that female chairman. He was completely immersed in the dream of being kept by a wealthy woman. Every day, besides reporting on the project's progress, he was attentive and tried to please her. Zhao Shuiying said he had been repeatedly bringing up meeting in person lately, seeming very anxious. I laughed coldly. How can he not be anxious? I drew a massive fantasy pie for him. To receive the deposit, he has to advance all the initial costs. I'm afraid the money in his account is already running low. Zhao Shuiying asked, should we continue to tease him? I nodded. Of course. He wants to meet? Fine, agree to it. Zhao Shuang immediately understood my meaning. Soon after, Yi Tengqing responded immediately, assuring, "Whatever pleases my darling." The next day, he organized a grand signing ceremony. The surprise was that I was on the guest list. The ceremony was held at the city's most luxurious hotel. The Liu family stood on the stage, looking smug. Liu Rian deliberately walked up to me, gloating and provoking. "I thought you wouldn't dare to come. So what if you have money? You're just lucky to be born into a rich family." Yi Tengqing is the one who is truly capable and talented. It wasn't just Liu Ruyan. Even the Liu family members who used to bow before me now changed their attitude. Our new son-in-law is very capable. He's only just stepped into the industry, but has already achieved outstanding results, unlike some people who only know how to rely on their family. 1 hour passed, then 2 hours passed. The guests gradually left, but the rumored major partner still hadn't appeared. Liu Ruyan and Yi Tengqing's expressions grew increasingly strained. At this moment, I spoke up. "That guest won't be coming." I didn't speak loudly, but it was enough for everyone around to hear clearly. Liu Ruyan, already angry, glared at me upon hearing what I said. "Chibata, what nonsense are you spewing?" Yi Tengqing also quickly explained to everyone. "Please be patient for a moment. The partner just messaged me saying there was a slight delay on the way." I raised an eyebrow. "Are you sure?" I pulled out my phone and showed the text message on the screen for everyone to see. Yi Tengqing's face instantly went pale. Liu Rian's eyes turned red, and her voice trembled with indignation. "Chibata, you plotted against me." She seemed to go crazy, lunging straight toward me, but her body swayed. She pitched forward and fell hard onto the ground. After scrambling back up, she looked like a cornered beast, screaming wildly. "I simply didn't like you, and you do this to me? Why won't you let me go? This is fraud, I'll sue you." From shouting accusations to breaking down in tears, she completely lost control. The Liu family had poured their entire fortune into this gamble, but in the end, it was all zero. I looked down at her from above, my voice cold. "I never defrauded you of a single penny, nor did I ever promise anything. All of it was merely your own delusion." I paused, then curled my lips sarcastically. "Of course, you could also blame that female chairman for being too charming, causing some people to be blindly infatuated and lose all reason. Isn't that right, Yi Tengqing?" Yi Tengqing's face instantly turned ashen. Hearing this, Liu Ruyan also turned to look at him, her eyes filled with suspicion. After all, from beginning to end, Yi Tengqing was the one who had contact with that female chairman. She had also recently noticed something unusual about his attitude. Yi Tengqing began to panic, completely losing his usual suave demeanor. "I was tricked by you people." I smiled faintly, throwing my phone toward Liu Ruyan. Yi Tengqing rushed to stop it, but it was too late. Liu Ruyan opened it with trembling hands and saw the text messages. In an instant, she let out a desperate scream. I didn't bother to look any further, turning and leaving the venue with Zhao Shuang. After this incident, I no longer paid attention to the news about Yi Tengqing and Liu Ruyan. Now I had my own career and love life. They, to me, were no longer important. I thought the story ended here, but I didn't expect to run into Liu Ruyan again half a year later. This time, we met at a project bidding session as competitors. By the elevator door, I saw her walking next to Yi Tengqing. In just half a year, she looked significantly more haggard. Her steps were heavy, and her expression was empty, like a soulless shell. When he saw me, Yi Tengqing immediately showed hostility. As for Liu Ruyan, she parted her lips as if to say something, but before she could utter a word, Yi Tengqing violently pulled her into the elevator. I thought I would feel some emotion when I saw her again, but I felt nothing at all. I didn't even feel like making a single sarcastic remark. The white moonlight she was in my eyes before, after losing the colored lens of love, was merely this and nothing more. As the industry leader, my Chi group easily won this bidding project without any obstacles. I heard this was the last chance for Yi Tengqing and Liu Ruyan's company to recover. When the news of their failure came, Liu Ruyan's face became incredibly unsightly. She looked drained of vitality, her eyes glaring at me resentfully. "It's been half a year. Why won't you let me go? I simply didn't like you. And you treat me like this?" I looked at her, finding it ridiculous. "You don't think I participated in this bid just because of you, do you? You overestimate yourself. Or do you think that if I hadn't been here, your company would have had a chance to win?" Liu Ruyan's face became increasingly unpleasant. Her body trembled in waves. Clearly, she herself understood how pathetic her company's current situation was. At this moment, Yi Tengqing stepped forward, trying to save face. Chibata, it's just a small project. What's there to be arrogant about? You're just being conceited by relying on your family. I didn't deny it. I even nodded in agreement. That's right. To me, this really is just a small project, not worth mentioning. But the problem is, can you secure it? I smiled faintly, continuing. As for me relying on my family, is it possible you're an orphan or that your parents have all passed away? After saying that, I didn't bother to care about their ugly expressions, turned around, and left. Less than a few days later, Zhao Shuiying brought new information. Lu Ruyan and Yi Tengqing's company is in trouble. I heard that creditors have shown up, even clearing out the furniture in their office. Many employees are also seeking to claim their wages. I wasn't surprised by this outcome. After all these years of knowing Lu Ruyan, I had never seen her possess any aptitude for business. As for Yi Tengqing, a useless person with a 4 master's degree like him is not worth mentioning. In the past 6 months, he could only be summed up by 2 words: dead weight. Doing business with others without even checking the basic foundation. How could they not go bankrupt? A schemer meets an idiot. It truly is a dragon stranded, a phoenix caught in a net. Another half-month passed. One day, I accidentally read a news headline on my phone. Chairman of Chengyan Group absconded before bankruptcy. Whereabouts unknown. I opened the article and saw that Yi Tengqing's company had been operating at a loss ever since its establishment. To maintain operations, he constantly borrowed money to pay off old debts, then borrowed more to continue the cycle. Recently, a series of loans became due for payment. But what's notable is that, as soon as the company collapsed, Yi Tengqing immediately took all the remaining money and disappeared without a trace. The burden of debt fell entirely on the largest shareholder, Lu Ruyan. Once a high and mighty, wealthy young lady, she is now besieged by creditors demanding money every day. And the Lu Group, being one of the major shareholders, also had its assets seized by the court for debt liquidation. Looking at this outcome, I felt a slight sense of reflection. But what I was more curious about was how they managed to borrow that much money. A voice pulled me out of my thoughts. It was Zhao Shuiying. She had also just finished reading the news. The Lu family has gone bankrupt. I nodded, quite the ability, owing a staggering 800 million. Zhao Shuiying smiled faintly, explaining, it was all because the Lu family borrowed from the bank for Yi Tengqing. Initially, they still had enough capital to hold on for a while, but Yi Tengqing told them that a major fund transfer was coming from overseas. The Lu family believed him and borrowed another huge sum from the bank to continue investing. But in the end, Yi Tengqing took all that money and ran off, leaving them with nothing. Hearing this, I immediately understood everything. It turned out that from the beginning, Yi Tengqing's goal was not to compete with me. He had never intended to do actual business. He just wanted to fleece the Lu family. Lu Ruyan sought me out again. When I saw her, I barely recognized her. Her face was gaunt, her skin sallow, her eyes vacant, and her hair was messy like a madwoman's. If she hadn't opened her mouth and called my name, I might have mistaken her for a beggar. She lunged forward and desperately grabbed my arm, her voice hoarse, on the verge of tears. Chibata, I beg you, save me, save the Lu family. Only you can help me. I looked at her and asked indifferently, do you think that's possible? Lu Ruyan's eyes reddened and tears spilled out. She sobbed, her voice trembling. I'm sorry, Chibata. I know you still love me. Can we start over? I'll do anything you want. Just please help me. She gripped my arm tightly, clinging to me as if holding onto her last life raft. At that moment, another arm gently placed itself on mine. It was Zhao Shuiying. She smiled, naturally linked her arm through mine, and softly said, Honey, who is this woman? In that instant, I distinctly felt all the light in Lu Ruyan's eyes vanish. All her strength seemed to drain away. She stood frozen, her eyes empty, as if her soul had left her body. I seized the opportunity to coldly shake her hand off. No one at all, just a stranger. On the way home, Zhao Shuiying suddenly asked, Was that Lu Ruyan just now? I looked at her, slightly surprised. It was only then I realized she had recognized her from the beginning. I didn't deny it, only smiling as I asked back, Are you jealous? Zhao Shuiying gave me a glare, then reached out and hugged my arm, her voice completely natural. Jealous of what? We're the family now. My heart suddenly felt warm, as if everything had suddenly become clear. That's right, it was all in the past. Since the day Lu Ruyan ran away from the wedding, she and I had walked 2 completely different paths. But the story was not yet over. A week later, I finished work as usual and got into my car. As soon as I sat in the driver's seat, an icy knife was suddenly placed against my neck from behind. Through the rearview mirror, I saw a familiar face, Yi Tingqing. He looked haggard, with a scruffy beard, and his bloodshot eyes were filled with exhaustion. It seemed he hadn't had a peaceful night's sleep in a long time. "Chibata, I've been waiting for you for a long time," I asked calmly. "Why are you looking for me? I haven't been involved with him for all this time." I didn't know why he appeared now. Yi Tingqing's gaze was sharp, but he no longer had his former politeness. Now he looked no different from a cornered criminal. "Don't talk nonsense. I need 100 million in cash. At the same time, you have to help me arrange to escape abroad." I smiled faintly. "Money is not a problem. But on what grounds do you think I can help you escape?" He tightened his grip on the knife, emphasizing every word. "If you can't do it, we'll both die." The cold blade trembled slightly against my skin. I didn't want to provoke someone who had lost his mind, so I pretended to concede. "Fine, I agree." Seeing my cooperation, his mood seemed to stabilize a bit. "Arrange it immediately. If I find you playing tricks, you're dead." I quietly picked up the phone next to me and pressed the call button for Zhao Shuiying. Under Yi Tingqing's watchful eye, I turned on the speakerphone and said exactly what he demanded. Finally, I emphasized one more sentence. "Do it quickly." The other end was silent. After a moment, Zhao Shuiying spoke up. "Understood, I'll take care of it." Hearing this, Yi Tingqing was somewhat reassured. He laughed coldly. "In the end, I still won against you." I didn't reply, just drove in silence. Throughout the journey, neither of us said another word. The car drove straight to the suburbs, stopping at a deserted harbor. Before us was only a vast ocean, quiet on all sides. On the ground was only a bag of cash already placed there. Yi Tingqing frowned. "Where's the boat?" As soon as he finished speaking, a small boat gradually appeared in sight. Seeing the boat, he breathed a sigh of relief. The knife placed on my neck also loosened slightly. Seizing the opportunity, I delivered a sharp kick that sent him stumbling to the ground and quickly ran away. But he didn't chase me. He just hurriedly grabbed the bag of money and rushed toward the boat. He believed that once he got on the boat, he would have a chance to escape. But as the boat came closer, he realized that everyone on it was a uniformed police officer. Only then did he understand that he had fallen into a trap. He turned around to run, but it was too late. Police rushed in from all four sides and quickly subdued him. Yi Tingqing knelt down, his face distraught, yelling at me. "Chibata, what trick did you play? Why are the police here?" I leisurely walked up to him, looking down coldly, not bothering to explain. I only sneered, "Looks like I'm still the winner." He was escorted into the police car. Before leaving, he kept screaming, "Chibata, I won't forgive you." I replied casually, "You won't have the chance anymore." He already had a criminal record. Now, with the additional charges of kidnapping and attempted murder, he certainly wouldn't be seeing the light of day anytime soon. Just as I had escaped the danger, Zhao Shuiying immediately ran to my side, her face full of worry. "Are you okay?" I sensed something was wrong, so I called the police. I gently shook my head, taking her hand, my voice calm and steady. "I'm fine. Let's go home." Seeing that I was safe and sound, Zhao Shuiying finally let out a sigh of relief, nodding vigorously. Actually, I hadn't played any trick at all. If I had to say what I did, it could only be a subtle hint through my tone of voice. It's just that Zhao Shuiying was sharp enough to recognize the abnormality in my words and quickly alerted the police. Also, thanks to modern technology, the police quickly located my position via phone and set up the ambush beforehand. Thanks to Zhao Shuiying's explanation, I finally understood why Yi Tingqing came looking for me. It turned out his initial plan was to transfer the money abroad through a money laundering network, then flee himself. But unexpectedly, that very money laundering network scammed him out of all his money. Cornered, he thought of kidnapping me as a last resort. In the end, I found it quite ironic. A fraudster racking his brains to swindle money from others, only to be completely swindled by someone else. Before long, news about Yi Tingqing flooded the papers. Notorious financial suspect arrested for conspiracy to kidnap and murder, sentenced to life imprisonment for multiple cumulative charges. But to me, this was just meaningless social news. Time flew by. Soon, the end of the year arrived. Zhao Shuiying and I had officially been dating for 1 year. After the kidnapping incident, the affection between us grew deeper. Finally, we decided to hold the wedding during the New Year holiday. Both families were extremely pleased with the marriage. The wedding was held at the very same hotel. It was still the gorgeous, glamorous wedding dress as that year. But this time, the woman wearing the dress standing next to me was no longer Lu Ruyan, but Zhao Shuiying. The officiant asked, "Miss Zhao Shuiying, do you agree to marry Mr. Chibata and never leave him?" Without a moment's hesitation, she gave a radiant smile and answered decisively, "I do." That night, everyone was immersed in joyous celebration. As the groom, I don't know how many glasses of wine I was plied with. It wasn't until the party was nearly over and guests were gradually leaving that I managed to find a quiet corner to wash my face and sober up. Standing in front of the sink, I splashed cold water on my face. But just as I looked up, I saw a familiar figure in the mirror, Lu Ruyan. Clearly, only 1 year had passed, but her aura had completely changed, or perhaps it should be said that it had diminished significantly. I didn't expect her to appear here. Stunned for a moment, I intended to pretend I didn't see her and leave, but she finally spoke. "Are you getting married today?" I paused briefly, answering reflexively, "Yes." Following, there was an endless, long silence. At this point, there was nothing left to say between her and me. Not knowing how to start a conversation, I decided to turn and leave. But Lu Ruyan suddenly spoke up. "Chibata, that year when I ran away from the wedding, did you hate me very much?" I stopped, thought for a moment, and sighed. "At first, I did hate you, but later, thinking back, I realized you became who you are now also because I indulged you too much without boundaries." Before I finished speaking, her tears fell like scattered pearls. She choked up, her voice trembling. "I was wrong. It was all my fault. I let you down. I apologize." I replied softly, "It's over now. Who was right and who was wrong no longer matters. I have completely let go of the past." But Lu Ruyan continued to blame herself. At the time, I thought he was educated, came from a good family, and was a trustworthy man. Speaking of this, she clenched her fist, her nails almost digging deep into her skin. "It was my mistake. I judged people wrongly. I shouldn't have trusted him so easily." Tears silently streamed down her haggard face, as if she couldn't hold them back any longer. She suddenly grabbed my wrist tightly. "It's only now that I realize you were the man for me. I still love you. I've heard a lot of news about you, and I've always followed you discreetly. I know what I did was outrageous, and I don't have the right to say these words, but I still want to beg for your forgiveness. Do we still have a chance?" As she spoke these words, Lu Ruyan's face was filled with expectation, her eyes glistening with tears. I looked straight at her and slowly spoke. "You ruined my first marriage. Now do you want to destroy my second marriage?" Lu Ruyan shook her head frantically, hastily explaining, "That's not it. It's just that I realized it too late." I gently shook my head. "As you can see, I have a new life now." Her reddened eyes stared at me, but finally, the hand holding onto me gradually loosened. "Goodbye." I averted my gaze outside, where the dazzling lights illuminated the night. I knew someone was waiting for me there. From then on, I never heard any news about Lu Ruyan and her family again. They seemed to have completely vanished from the city. After getting married, Zhao Shuiying and I managed the company together. Our marital relationship was always good, our family was harmonious, and our careers advanced more and more. We also had children, a complete and happy home. There was only one thing that wasn't complete. Both of us were too busy with work and family, having almost no time for ourselves. It wasn't until the 5th year after our marriage, while tidying the room, that Zhao Shuiying accidentally dropped a travel card from a drawer. It was a business card introducing a coastal resort area. Looking at the seaside scenery printed on the card, her eyes lit up with excitement. "Have you been here before? I've never been to the beach, you know." The card brought back a memory for me. This was a place I visited during college, and it was also where Lu Ruyan and I had our first date. Before, I kept this card just as a small souvenir, then forgot about it. I didn't expect it to appear before my eyes today. I didn't know why I blurted out a sentence. "Look, I want a trip. Let's go to this place." "Really? That's wonderful." Zhao Shuiying was overjoyed. Clearly, the busy work schedule had tired her out all this time. No sooner said than done. After sorting out our work, we started our second honeymoon vacation 5 years into our marriage. During the trip, Zhao Shuiying chose a seaside restaurant for dinner. When I saw the name, Seaside Restaurant, I was momentarily stunned. I didn't know if this was fate or just a coincidence. This was the exact place where Lu Ruyan and I had our first date. Seemingly sensing my unusual mood, Zhao Shuiying asked curiously, "What's wrong?" I shook my head, joking. "I'm just afraid this restaurant isn't upscale enough for Miss Zhao." She pouted playfully. Stop teasing me. Look how crowded this place is. And the scenery is beautiful too. I decided we're eating here. With that, she pulled me inside and chose a seat near the window. I unconsciously looked outside. The restaurant was still the same as before. People bustled about. Through the glass, one could see the deep blue, vast ocean. Gazing at the scene outside, old memories suddenly flooded back. That day, I had just graduated from university and took Lou Rian on a trip for the first time. Right here in this restaurant, I confessed my feelings to her. Lou Rian, I like you. Let's date. She nodded, her voice indifferent. Okay. Her face didn't show any emotion. But at the time, I was still so happy that I couldn't help but exclaim, You agreed. She replied softly, MHM, I know you're a rich young master, and also a good person. Being your girlfriend probably isn't a bad thing. At that time, I completely failed to grasp the real meaning hidden behind that sentence. I was just happy that she had agreed, and it was from that day that we officially started dating. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but shake my head, scolding myself for still remembering those old things from a time when I was blind with love. As I was immersed in the stream of memories, a voice rang out, pulling me back to reality. Here are your dishes, esteemed guests. For some reason, this voice felt familiar to me. Unconsciously looking up, my eyes met the server in front of me. I was stunned. The person standing before me was Lou Rian. This was the second time I had run into her. Years ago, she was a dazzling campus beauty, but now she looked no different from an ordinary middle-aged woman. When she saw me, her eyes lit up, but when her gaze shifted to Zhao Shuiying beside me, her expression flashed with panic, as if remembering what had happened in the past. She instinctively wanted to leave, but Zhao Shuiying gently held her wrist. Zhao Shuiying gave a faint smile. Sit down and have a cup of tea? Lou Rian. Lou Rian hesitated a little, looking toward me as if waiting for permission. I nodded. Only then did she timidly sit down. What a coincidence, Zhao Shuiying smiled, but why are you here? Lou Rian replied. Because this is my restaurant. It turned out that after Yi Tengxing was arrested, the police also dismantled the money laundering network, helping her recover a portion of the money. Although she couldn't recover all the losses, it was still enough for her to have some capital to start over. However, after that incident, her family no longer had a place in the old city. They were forced to leave, taking the small remaining amount of money here to start anew. Coincidentally, she met a man who was the owner of this restaurant. She later married him and managed the restaurant together. Looking around, I noticed the eatery was quite crowded. Zhao Shuiying was a bit surprised. So you're the owner here. Running a successful restaurant must be very hard work, right? Lou Rian didn't answer directly, only saying softly, It is a bit tough, but at least living practically feels more secure. Before, my ambition was too great. I wanted to have everything, but I almost lost everything. Speaking of this, she looked over at me, her tone sincere. Chibata, actually, I should thank you. If it weren't for you catching Yi Tengxing, my whole family might have been wandering the streets. I shook my head. I didn't catch him. I just did what I should have done. You don't need to thank me. Hearing this, Lou Rian bit her lip tightly, not saying anything more. The atmosphere was somewhat awkward. Zhao Shuiying immediately broke the silence. All right, let's stop talking about serious things. Let's change the topic. It was then I realized I might have been a bit stiff, so I shifted the conversation. We chatted about a few old stories. When Lou Rian learned that we had children, she forced a smile. Then congratulations to both of you. I often see news about you two in the media. Your child will certainly be very happy. I nodded in thanks. Honestly, there wasn't much left to talk about between us now. After a brief conversation, silence fell again. At that moment, a loud shout came from the kitchen area. Boss, what are you standing there for? Don't you see customers waiting? Lou Rian jumped, quickly replying, I'm coming right away. She quickly apologized to us. Sorry, I have to get back to work. We expressed our understanding so she could continue her work. Watching her busy figure rush back and forth in the restaurant, a saying suddenly came to mind. Times change. The woman who was once arrogant, always wanting others to submit to her, can now humble herself to serve customers. Zhao Shuiying quietly watched her, then sighed. She has changed so much. I nodded. Everyone has to be responsible for the path they chose. She agreed with me, but then suddenly asked with a meaningful look, but if she hadn't run away that day, would the person beside you today be me? I froze. This question was one I had never thought about. That's right, if things hadn't happened that way that day, If Yi Tongxing hadn't come back, if Liu Rian hadn't run away, perhaps everything would have been very different. But as I stepped out of the restaurant, looking at the surroundings, I suddenly realized the answer. I took Zhao Shuiying's hand and said softly, "Life has many what-ifs, but I believe the current outcome is the best possible thing." "That is your answer?"